Hey there. Ready to dive into some really fascinating research on alternative ways to manage MS? We're going beyond just the basics today.
Yeah.
We're really going to dig into how, those lifestyle choices you make can kind of work alongside those, traditional MS treatments.
Right.
So we're talking changing up your diet,
Mm-hmm.
bringing in some mind-body practices, even those like everyday habits,
Right.
the
Like,
things we don't even think about that can actually make a difference.
well, and what's really exciting is that, it really speaks to the shift towards a more holistic approach to managing MS. For
Yeah.
so long, the focus was just on disease progression, but now research is saying, hold on, lifestyle changes can impact your symptoms and
Yeah.
how you feel overall.
Totally. And I've been hearing more and more about this link between inflammation and MS
Yeah.
and how, what we eat plays a huge
Oh,
role.
it's a massive link.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can almost think of inflammation like a fire in the body.
Okay.
And with MS, this chronic inflammation, it contributes to nerve cell damage.
Wow.
So the right foods can really help dampen that fire,
Okay.
but other things can actually make it worse.
So it's about, making those choices that actually nourish your body
Exactly.
and support your health.
Yeah.
So, when we talk about that, what are some of those, top fire-quenching foods? What comes to mind?
Well, a good blueprint to think about is the Mediterranean diet.
Uh-huh.
It's packed with things like fruits and vegetables, fish, healthy fats. All of those work together to help combat inflammation.
And I imagine they're delicious, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Who doesn't love incorporating some, delicious fruits, veggies into their diet?
Yeah, like berries. Think about berries
Yeah.
packed with antioxidants,
Right.
which can really help protect brain cells from damage caused by inflammation, which is, like we've been talking about, a key factor in MS.
Oh, that's a great reminder, too, because it's those vibrant colors often signal, there's powerful stuff in there.
Exactly.
So beyond those, beautiful berries, what else should we be loading onto our plates?
Leafy greens are great.
Okay.
So things like your spinach, your kale, packed with brain-boosting nutrients. Fatty fish is really good.
Yeah.
Salmon, tuna,
Yeah.
rich in those omega-3 fatty acids, which are known for their anti-inflammatory effects.
It's so interesting because it's not just eating healthy in general. It's choosing those foods that specifically target the things that are happening
Right.
with MS.
It's about being targeted.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. And even within that, you can think about walnuts.
Okay.
They're a great source of DHA, which is an omega-3 fatty acid that actually protects the myelin sheath around nerve cells.
Wow. What about cooking oils? Are there certain things that you recommend over others?
Olive oil is a great one,
Okay.
especially extra virgin olive oil.
Okay, so what's the difference there?
Well, extra virgin olive oil is less processed, so it retains more of those beneficial nutrients like antioxidants.
Got it.
It's heart-healthy, anti-inflammatory.
So even simple swaps like that can make a difference over time.
Over time, yeah.
So we've talked about a lot of things to incorporate, but are there specific things that people with MS should avoid or limit in their diet?
Yeah, processed foods, sugary drinks, excessive saturated and trans fats,
Okay.
those all contribute to inflammation.
And they make you feel crummy too.
Exactly. Exactly. And they can spike your blood sugar, which can impact your energy levels.
Oh, wow.
And we know fatigue is a big concern for those with MS.
It's about making choices that actually support those stable energy levels.
Yes.
Diet is a big piece of the puzzle, but what about exercise? I imagine that plays a role as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. Regular physical activity is key, not just for overall health, but for managing those MS symptoms as well. Exercise helps keep inflammation in check, which we've talked about being so important.
Right.
And it can also help improve things like your balance, your coordination, even your mood.
That's so interesting. I imagine it could be tough, though, to stay motivated with exercise, especially when fatigue is a factor in MS.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's I know I should, but,
Yeah.
they're struggling?
I always say, start slow.
Okay.
Start gradually and gradually increase, how intense your workouts are, how long you're doing them. Even a 10-minute walk a few times a week can be beneficial.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the other key is listen to your body.
Yeah.
Rest when you need to. And don't be afraid to modify those exercises as needed.
So it's about finding what works for you and your own needs.
Exactly.
Speaking of finding what works, what about those complementary therapies we hear about? So we're talking acupuncture, massage therapy, yoga, all that good stuff. Where do those fit into the picture?
I mean, those can be really fantastic tools for managing those common MS symptoms. Now, it's important to remember they're not going to treat the disease itself,
Okay.
but they offer this incredible support in just managing those day-to-day challenges.
Right, right.
And there are even studies that have shown that practicing yoga, for example, can actually help improve balance and coordination in people with MS,
Wow.
which is often affected by the disease.
So it really is about, like, addressing the whole person,
Yes.
not just, like, this one thing.
Absolutely.
We talked about diet and exercise, but what about things we're putting into our bodies a little bit more intentionally?
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about supplements, specifically vitamin D and omega-3s.
Mm-hmm.
I know those are popular areas of interest for people with MS.
Yeah, and for good reason.
Yeah.
They come up a lot, and here's why. Vitamin D is essential for bone health.
Right.
But what we're learning now is it might have neuroprotective effects as well.
Really?
Yeah, which is huge when we're thinking about MS.
Huge.
And then omega-3 fatty acids, you'll find those in fatty fish.
Mm-hmm.
Also supplements, they're well known for their anti-inflammatory and neuroprotective properties as well.
So it's like providing your body that extra support
Yeah.
to protect those nerve cells, which are so important.
Absolutely.
But I imagine, like with any supplement, it's always best to have a conversation with your doctor first.
Oh, 100%. Always talk to your healthcare provider. What works for one person might not be suitable for another.
That's a good reminder. Now, I know we've still got a lot to uncover here.
We do.
We're going to talk about those everyday habits that play a role.
Yes.
And then that whole world of probiotics and gut health. But we're going to take a quick break.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. So before the break, you mentioned probiotics and gut health. I got to say, I'm really curious about this whole connection. Can you explain a bit more about why it's so important, especially for someone with MS?
Absolutely. So picture this. You've got trillions of bacteria living in your gut, right?
Trillions.
Trillions. And this diverse community, we call it the gut microbiome. And what's fascinating is a healthy gut microbiome, it's not just about digestion.
Okay.
It plays a role in our overall health,
Yeah.
including like brain health, immune function, all of that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So we are not just what we eat, but what our gut bacteria thrive on too. How does this all relate to MS specifically?
Well, research is suggesting that people with MS, they tend to have different gut bacteria compared to those without the condition.
Yeah.
And there's more and more evidence showing that these gut microbiome imbalances, they might actually be contributing to that inflammation we've been talking about.
Oh, wow. Which we know is a big part of MS. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So then how do we go about nurturing a healthy and balanced gut microbiome? Yogurt, I'm guessing, is involved.
You're right. Yogurt can be great. You know those yogurts that say live in active cultures?
Yeah.
Those are a really good source of probiotics, which are those beneficial bacteria that support gut health. But it's not like a one-size-fits-all approach, right? Variety is really key when it comes to feeding your gut bacteria.
Variety is the spice of life, right?
It is.
Okay. So beyond yogurt then, what are some other foods that we can enjoy that would support that healthy, diverse gut microbiome?
Fermented foods.
Okay.
Are those your friend?
Give us some ideas.
Okay, so think sauerkraut.
Okay.
It's fermented cabbage. People have been enjoying this for centuries. Fantastic source of probiotics. Kimchi, it's a spicy Korean staple.
Mm-hmm.
Also a type of fermented cabbage. Another great option. We've got kefir. It's kind of a tangy fermented milk drink.
Okay.
Packs a punch of probiotics. And then, you've got your more familiar ones like your miso, your tempeh, both fermented soybean products, incredibly versatile in the kitchen.
Yeah. Wow. That's quite a spread.
Yeah.
Incorporating those fermented foods sounds like a, delicious way to support your gut. What about prebiotics? I've heard that term thrown around too. What are those all about?
Think of prebiotics as the fuel for your probiotics.
Okay.
They're types of dietary fiber that we as humans can't digest, but our good gut bacteria, they love to feast on them.
So it's like setting the table for that good gut bacteria to flourish.
Exactly.
Where do we find these prebiotic-rich foods? What should we be adding to our grocery list?
Things like onions, garlic, leeks, those really aromatic staples that we use a lot in cooking. Bananas, asparagus, even oats. They're like the unsung heroes of a healthy gut microbiome.
It's amazing how all these elements of a healthy lifestyle kind of connect. We've talked about, diet, exercise, even those mind-body practices. But are there other lifestyle factors beyond what we're eating, the activities we're doing, that play a role in managing MS good, things we might even overlook?
Absolutely. I think we really underestimate the power of hydration and sleep.
Yeah,
Staying adequately hydrated, it's essential for everyone, right?
right.
But even more so for someone with MSQ, dehydration can actually worsen fatigue, which we know is a common MS symptom,
Mm.
and it can even impact cognitive function, how clearly you're thinking.
We always talk about getting enough sleep, but you're right. We do often overlook hydration. It's so easy to forget to drink enough water throughout the day, especially when you're busy,
Mhm.
busy, busy.
Right.
Any tips for making sure we're staying adequately hydrated?
Yeah, I always recommend keeping a reusable water bottle with you
Okay.
and aim to refill it throughout the day.
Okay.
You can even set reminders on your phone if you're like, you know what, I just forget.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Just that little nudge.
That's a great, practical tip. Speaking of, often overlooked, but incredibly important, sleep. How crucial is quality sleep for someone managing MS?
Think of sleep as your body's reset button.
Okay. Yeah.
It's when your body repairs, regenerates. Essential for everyone,
Mm.
but especially crucial for someone with MSK. During sleep, your body reduces inflammation,
Wow.
strengthens your immune system, helps regulate your mood, your energy levels. It's crucial.
Sleep really is the cornerstone of well-being,
Yes.
especially in the context of MS, where, managing fatigue is so important. What about stress? I feel like that's a big one for so many people, and I imagine it can impact MS as well. What's the connection there? What are some effective ways to manage that stress?
Chronic stress, it can actually exacerbate inflammation in the body, which we know is not helpful for someone with MS.
No.
So incorporating some stress-reducing techniques, whether that's yoga, meditation, even just spending time in nature, can really make a difference.
Yeah. It's about finding those pockets of peace
Exactly.
and calm amidst the chaos.
Yeah.
Are there other things beyond just those lifestyle changes that you often find yourself discussing with your patients? Maybe those aha moments where someone's like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
You know, one thing that often comes up is the importance of mindset
Okay.
and cultivating a positive outlook. And this isn't about denying the challenges of MS, right? It's not about putting on those rose-colored glasses, but it's about focusing on what you can control, celebrating those small victories, and surrounding yourself with a supportive community.
I love that. It's
Oh.
about empowering yourself
Yes.
to live your best life possible, even with the complexities of MS.
Yep.
So we've covered diet. We've talked about exercise, these crucial lifestyle factors, even the importance of mindset.
Yeah.
Anything else come to mind when we talk about managing MS holistically? Or have we hit the essentials? You've really, I think, painted such a clear picture of how all these different elements of a holistic approach can actually come together to support someone on their MS journey. And I think it really highlights that there's so much more than just those traditional treatments that can really make a difference.
Absolutely. And it's really about empowering yourself to take that active role in your well-being. It's not about replacing conventional treatments,
Right.
but it's about working with them, working in tandem with your healthcare team to create that comprehensive plan that addresses your needs and
Yeah.
helps you feel your best.
It's like we're kind of piecing together this puzzle,
Yes.
and both conventional and alternative approaches, they're those vital pieces.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive here, is there one key takeaway you hope our listener really walks away with today?
You know, I think the biggest takeaway is just remembering that knowledge is power. The more you know about MS, the more empowered you are to make those informed choices that support, not just your health, but your well-being overall. It's about becoming your own advocate,
Yeah.
staying curious and never being afraid to ask questions.
That's such an important reminder. It's your journey,
Yes,
and you get to, take the driver's seat.
absolutely. And remember, everyone's experience with MS is different. So, what works for one person might not work for another. Be patient with yourself. Listen to your body and celebrate those small victories along the way.
I love that. This has been such an insightful conversation. I feel like I've learned so much, and I hope our listeners feel the same. It's really amazing how much there is to discover about managing MS beyond just those traditional treatments.
It really is an exciting time. Research is always evolving, and there's just so much potential to improve the lives of people living with MS.
On that note of, hope and empowerment, we'll wrap up this deep dive into alternative approaches to managing multiple sclerosis. We've really explored a lot today, from the power of diet and the importance of gut health to, the benefits of exercise, stress reduction, and even, like we said, cultivating a more positive mindset. Remember, your journey is unique, and there are so many paths that you can explore to live that full, meaningful life, even with the challenges of MS.